British realized the future of its colony, Malaya, depends on cooperation between races. For the first time in history, they established a platform for leaders from different races to express their views on the future of their country.
A gathering of Malay leaders, of Chinese leaders, of Indian leaders, of Eurasian leaders to swap ideas on how to improve relations between communities with a view to creating a sense of Malayanness.
And the members have a common dream, an independent Malaya.
They came to some sort of understanding during the negotiations in the CLC that you can't have a totally Malay-centric party gaining independence, and then you have a problem with the communists. So you need some kind of unity among the different communities.
In 1950, the committee presents a proposal called the Agreed View. One of the key recommendations is to grant conditional citizenship to non-Malays.
It's whether you regard Malaya as home rather than as a place of work, where you make a packet and then perhaps return to China or to India and be succeeded by others. It's whether you're putting down roots in the country.
Another recommendation is that anybody born in Malaya would automatically become a citizen. This is the principle of jus soli. A CLC member and the president of the leading Malay party, Dato' On Jaafar, strongly endorses this proposal.
He really believed that the reality of Malaya was that there were Chinese and Indians who have come to this country and who regard this country as their homeland.
However, in return, all communities will take immediate steps to improve the socio-economic position of the Malays. It is an agreement to quell the concerns among the Malays about their special position in the country. A year after the CLC's agreed view was proposed, Dato' On Jaafar presents another bold idea to his party, the United Malays National Organization, or Umno.
He came out with this grand idea of turning Umno into a non-communal party and even had a new name for the party. So from United Malays National Organization to United Malayan National Organization.
I wouldn't say that he wanted UMNO to be non-Malay centric. It would still be Malay-led. He just thought that we can't get anywhere unless we include the non-Malays as well.
Dato' On awaits the response of the party faithful.
There was just stunned silence at the UMNO assembly, and nobody supported him. It was just too much.
The members are unmoved and uncompromising to the idea of accommodating non-Malays in their party.
This time there was no negotiation, no persuasion, no attempts to persuade him to come back.
From the end of the Second World War until now, Dato' On Jaafar has been an irresistible force in Malayan politics. This loss is devastating for UMNO's relationship with the British. UMNO has a leadership crisis.
They were at a loss, they had no president. So they went to Razak, who was very young.
Razak Hussain is the youth chief. But at 29 years old, he is seen as being too young to lead a major political party. However, he knows somebody who could fill the gap. As the son of the Sultan of Qatar, Tunku Abdul Rahman is highly respected in Malay society. With strong support from Razak Hussain, Tunku accepts the nomination. On the 26th of August 1951, Tunku garners the largest number of votes to claim the presidency in the Umno General Assembly. But this newly elected leader knows the challenges ahead of him.
My stepmother and me, that if I join the Umno, I won't be getting any money. I'll be very poor. And then we all said, then why you want to go and join the Umno if you are poor? I do that for the country, you see. I don't want to be under the British. Say that.
Unlike Dato' On, Tunku is untested as a leader and known for his flamboyant character.
The British for a very long time had no faith at all in Tunku Abdul Rahman, the Playboy Prince. They thought that Tunku Abdul Rahman could not deliver at all.
And the British were actually happy that Umno chose Tunku Abdul Rahman to be own successor.
Although this newly elected president seems to be getting support from many of his party's members, his carefree reputation could mean that the party may have made a grave mistake. The emergency declared in 1948 is still in effect. The banned Malayan Communist Party shows no sign of slowing down and is still drawing support from many rural Chinese communities.
Communist terror was pretty bad. It was really horrifying because they wanted to send a message. So the message was to the wider community that if you do not cooperate, this is what will happen to you as well. One of the ways to sort of send that message out that the communists were all powerful was by targeting top leaders.
The ambush murder in October 1951 of Sir Henry Gurney, who himself had come to win minds and hearts, is the guerrilla signal they have not yet lost this war.
The morale was shot to pieces by the death of Gurney. It was felt, I think, locally that this was the lowest point that British fortunes had reached.
The death sends shockwaves. The newly appointed Colonial Secretary in London, Oliver Littleton, is quick to assess the crisis. The British step up their efforts against the communists. They appoint a new High Commissioner for Malaya. Gerald Templer is tasked with finding a solution to this problem. First, he decides to abolish some of the outdated emergency laws.
He was called the man for the plan, and one of his big contributions was in implementing the BRICS plan. The main plank of it was resettlement, removing the exposed rural Chinese constituencies from the jungle fringe into what they called resettlement areas which were better defended. It was very important also from an operational military point of view to deny the communists access to their most important constituency as far as the shooting war was concerned.
Soon things begin to change for the better, but Templer wants more from London.
He came back and said, I need a political aim. What is the political aim in Malaya?
The British agreed to grant self-government to the Malayans, but with a condition.
Don't forget the Cold War. This is all happening during the Cold War. And so wherever they pulled back, they had to be as certain as they possibly can that the communists would not be the one taking advantage of it.
The British mandate that any form of governance needs to be one that involves the will of the people. true to his principles of non-communalism, the Independence of Malaya Party, or IMP.
This was going to be the first testing ground for IMP. Everyone had thought IMP would win, hands down, because Kuala Lumpur is urban, multiracial, English educated. So the appeal of IMP and its slogan of justice, freedom, equality, they thought would be appealing to the Kuala Lumpur electorate.
Dr. On's IMP manages to secure a partner, the Malayan Chinese Association, or MCA. These two major parties create a formidable front.
Umno was very worried that they were going to be defeated by IMP. They knew that they needed Chinese support. Without the Chinese support, they're going to lose the elections.
Funding is also a main concern for them, and it affects the Umno president personally.
He had to fork out his own money to maintain the secretariat. And he told me that he sold 14 shophouses which belonged to him and his family.
That time Umno don't have money. Sometimes there's no money, I just send me a little bit money now, like few hundred, 500. That time, it's quite poor lah.
As election draws near, Dr. On decides that all in his coalition, including MCA, must campaign under the IMP banner. But the head of MCA Selangor at the time, H.S. Lee, disagrees. He is concerned about the perception of the voters towards MCA under the non-communal banner, and worse, jeopardize their reputation as the main caretaker of Chinese interests. Subsequently, H.S. Lee decides to call off their partnership with IMP. They are ready to go on their own in the elections. However, MCA member Ong Yok Lin does not agree.
He had told me many times, we must join up with the Malays to get independence. We do not want to have the yoke of colonialism over us anymore.
A serendipitous encounter on the roads of Kuala Lumpur provides on the answer.
He said, I was driving and suddenly my thoughts overtook me and I missed the road or something. And there was Yahya standing outside the cold storage. See, that's my answer.
Yahya is the head of Umno Kuala Lumpur and former schoolmate of Ong. They catch up with old times. After a while, Ong feels comfortable enough to make a daring proposition.
This is the first time politically Ong Wen was the agent to link Umno with MCA into an alliance.
The friendship was there, and it matters a lot because unless you have that understanding, it's difficult to form a political party that is going to spearhead a new nation.
This coalition of two parties is officially known as the UMNO-MCA Alliance. The head of MCA Selangor, H.S. Lee, believes that this could be a winning strategy for the election. He quickly makes the alliance official.
H.S. Lee went to Malacca to seek my grandfather's permission to contest the elections with Datuk Yahya. And my grandfather decided that the best thing to do may be to allow H.S. Lee to work with Yahya and see whether that would happen.
Nobody knows if an alliance of communal parties could attract votes. Moreover, the British prefer more inclusive parties like the IMP, which is headed by Dr. On, with the support from his friends Tan Cheng Lock and his son Siu Sin.
So it was a very awkward as well as interesting situation, because on one hand, H.S. Lee was teaming up with Datuk Yahya, while my father and grandfather teamed up with Dr. On.
What happens next will dictate the fate of Malayan politics. One of the first elections in Malaya is to be held in its capital, Kuala Lumpur. The newly formed alliance between the United Malays National Organization and the Malayan Chinese Association is a pact between communal parties.
Interracial cooperation between races. You keep your party, we keep it, but work together.
This is more acceptable to the branch leaders of both parties.
They feel safe because their identity is not taken away from them. So they can always fall back on their parties.
When the campaign starts, the candidates get on the ground immediately. One of them is the son of the MCA Selangor leader, H.S. Lee.
I remember dressing in full suit, barefooted, making a speech inside a mosque, speaking English, because in those days we were trying to mix with Umno. It never happened to me before.
Together, the alliance also helps bear the cost of the elections.
You need loudspeakers, you need lorries, you need workers, you need banners, you need all sorts of things. And they don't come for free. You have to feed people.
And Umno is a party with little financial support. But their partner MCA is led by many prominent businessmen who are willing to back this alliance financially. This unprecedented partnership between the Malays and the Chinese could be a disaster if the voters reject their communal approach. When the results are announced, it surprises the British. The UMNO-MCA alliance wins 9 out of 12 seats.
It seems that the people were just not ready for a non-communal approach. That really kind of like set the mold for race-based politics in Malaya.
They saw that the winning horse is actually the alliance model and not the one where you had one party that was open to all races.
UMNO and MCA's joint success in the KL elections shocks even their own national leaders.
So from then on, Tunku and Tan Cheng Lock, it was against their will really, looked at it and said, wow, what is happening here?
Before that, Tunku didn't believe that this could come about. Tunku himself told me. He said that he never thought that the Chinese and the Malays could work like this.
On the other hand, the Independence of Malaya party, led by Dr. On Jaafar, only wins 2 seats.
Of course, the results of the elections that IMP was expected to win was really the death knell of the IMP.
Losing the MCA Selangor support cost the IMP Chinese votes.
My grandfather felt that Dr. On's idea was the better way forward. Political reality was that it would not have been accepted by the majority of Malays. And without that acceptance, it was very hard for IMP to be politically viable.
General Sir Gerald Templar inherited an almost hopeless task. Malaya, terrorized and demoralized, seemed likely to fall under communist domination. But he quickly reorganized the campaign against communist infiltration with vigor and imagination.
Encouraged, Templar is willing to try new ideas.
Templar decided to do an experiment. He said that, okay, let's remove emergency regulations so people can move around freely.
In September 1953, Malacca is declared free from communist influence.
Tempat-tempat periksa disingkirkan, sekatan makanan dan lainnya dimansuhkan. dan segala barang-barang boleh diangkut di dalam kawasan yang disediakan putih. Perintah berkurang ditiadakan lagi dan penduduk-penduduk di kawasan putih dapat hidup seperti sedia kala.
And the effect was very electric. And it was very smart of Templar to do that because the guys in the next area, the non-white area, under emergency regulations, saw that and said, what are you doing so that you can do that? We want to have it too. So the response was, well, cooperate with the government. Government will turn your district into a white area as well.
The progress that Templar brings about is a signal for the alliance to get back on track with their negotiation for independence. But there is still a long way to go.
Although we're having elections here since 51, we are not talking about democracy on a national level. The British are still controlling everything.
The British prefer a gradual journey to self-governance. But to the alliance, this is not fast enough.
They saw themselves, of course, as the driving force, the leaders of the future.
In 1954, they have proven themselves further at the ballot box. In the state elections that year, they sweep 226 out of 268 seats nationwide. The voters are enthusiastic about the alliance's promise of an independent Malaya.
Here is a chance to release themselves from British dominance. So when the Tunku started talking about independence, they became interested and excited about it.
Tunku was a man who could feel the ground moving. He knew that the Malays now understand what it means to be free. And Tunku was smart enough to decide that, hey, we cannot say Hidup Melayu because Malays are surviving anyhow. We must change our tag and accept that independence is going to be a reality.
Consequently, the Indian Communities Party, the Malayan Indian Congress, or MIC, drops its support for IMP and joins the alliance.
The Indians were slowly being accepted because of their electoral success. So people were looking at them and thinking, there is something about these people.
MIC leaders KL Devasar and VT Sambandhan have finally come to terms with the political reality of the time.
What Devasar and Sambandhan achieved was creating a unified political force of Indians, already showing their power earlier through the elections, but now showing their power through linking with Tunku and being accepted.
I think it took them a while, and then they finally realized, oh, we should go over to the alliance.
This development strengthens the alliance further. Now they are represented by the three biggest communal parties in Malaya and have a stronger voice against the British. After much pressure from the alliance, the British are still hesitant to discuss the federal elections.
The British would want independence to come slowly so that they could control every move. They had always run the empire. They would want to call the shots, whether the shots were right or wrong.
However, Tunku believes that there is a hidden agenda behind this delay. Out of frustration, he lets the truth out to the media.
Memang kerajaan British tidak ada niat nak bagi merdeka kepada kita ini. Karena ini satu benda yang saya. Satu benda yang sifatkan boleh menjadikan koloni dia selama-lama. Karena ini memiliki kebilangan bangsa. Mana boleh bangsa-bangsa yang tiga yang jauh antara satu sama lain boleh menyatu padu.
The British are skeptical that the three main races can govern Malaya.
Kerajaan British memberi kita merdeka. Jadi kerajaan British tak mau bagi. Kalau tak mau, masa tak mau bagi itu, saya putuskan tarik keluar semua ahli-ahli kita daripada segala majlis.
Ticked off by the boycott, the British call up the Tunku and his men for a meeting late at night on a British frigate in Singapore.
whether they were going to be exiled, locked away or whatever. But they went and they of course decided that they would take a certain stance and that they would continue the boycott.
I think that Tunku thought he might be arrested, but I'm pretty sure that the British would have done all they could not to arrest him.
The last thing the British want is to publicly turn against a party that has kept winning elections.
The British government saw that actually the alliance did have support among certain sections of the population and decided therefore to compromise.
The British agreed to the alliance's demands. Federal elections are finally scheduled for 1955. Nevertheless, the British still hold most of the cards. They will appoint 46 out of the 98 seats in the federal legislature. To get a majority, the alliance need to win at least 50 out of the 52 seats contested. It is an uphill challenge for Tunku and his team. But Tunku is confident.
The experiment in 1952 municipal elections proved to Tunku that the Malays and the Chinese can work together.
The campaigning begins. The main rivals are the Alliance and a newly formed Negara party led by Dato' On Jafar, still a relevant force in the Malayan politics.
At that point, the British weren't holding back on independence. They were waiting for an obvious heir to emerge.
In this election campaign, the voters are only interested in one topic, Merdeka, which means independence. It becomes a rallying cry for the Tunku and his alliance. Dato' On Jafar and his Negara party insist that Malaya needs time to develop first.
On Jafar having worked very closely with the British, and the British actually liked him, but being seen too close to the colonial government is not something very positive.
Despite this, many political commentators believe that Dato' On's Negara party can win as many as 12 seats, more than enough to deny the alliance the simple majority. The day of the elections finally arrives. At the final count, the results are eagerly awaited.
And well may the people rejoice in the alliance victory. They are tasting the first fruits of democracy, the power to express their wishes through the secret ballot.
The alliance manages to achieve what was considered impossible.
It is an impressive show of support from Malayans to win 51 or 52. It also did show that the model is acceptable. They could have won 52, then we would today think that something was fishy, right?
The man the British had doubted for years finally proves himself.
The victory of the alliance was so great that it endorsed the status of Tunku Abdul Rahman. And the British now recognise that Tunku was a man, a leader with whom they could do business and would be happy to do business.
Pihak Perikatan sangatlah sukacita dan besar hati kerana dapat kejayaan di dalam pilihan raya.
And the biggest shock is in Johor Bahru. Dato' On is defeated.
He knew then that the Johor people had rejected him. In fact, he was really treated very badly. He was heckled, and his speeches, the ceramas he gave, I think he felt that he had tried his best. He analyzed the political situation and the political context, in recognizing that this is now a multi-ethnic country, therefore you need a multi-ethnic party to run the country. But the Malays at that time, nor the Chinese, were ready.
For the man who made history by uniting the Malays, this is a painful exit for him. With the alliance's success, Tunku Abdul Rahman is appointed the first Chief Minister of Malaya, and he forms his cabinet. But before there can be any talk of independence, the British want Tunku to deal with the nation's long-standing problem.
Independence had to come with this guarantee that the communists would not take over.
Flyers are released by the British that call for the communists to accept a government-sponsored amnesty. Their leader, Chin Peng, responds.
Chin Peng recognized that the armed struggle was going nowhere. So he sent the Ng Heng letter to the British authorities asking for peace talks.
The eyes of the world turned for a fateful 2 days on Baling near the Thai frontier for talks between government representatives and communist terrorist leaders.
What Chin Peng wanted from Tunku was legal recognition of the Communist Party of Malaya. Of course, Tunku didn't want to have anything of that because that would be too high a price to pay.
The Tunku at the talks was not going to give an inch, and he was putting forth conditions that Chin Peng knew were totally unacceptable to the communists.
The talk ends in stalemate, in fact. Chin Peng doesn't get what he wants, he doesn't get an amnesty, then he goes back into the jungle.
Peperangan mesti diperhebatkan sehingga salah satu pihak menyerah diri. Dan sudah tetap dan tentu saya tidak akan menyerah diri. Oleh kerana itu, Parti Komunis Malaya mesti menyerah.
This attitude delights the British. They know that Malaya will be in good hands. This paves the way for independence. The British invite Tunku and his team to London for talks. It is known as the Merdeka.